My main priority is to avoid any further communication with him. He has the choice to live or die, as I have told him. Would you mind being silent, Vince? By 2020, Al Pacino's heart had already stopped beating. Even after paramedics rescued him, he felt a permanent change. No one anticipated that the 84-year-old director of The Godfather would be penniless after losing $50 million on films he despises and having a daughter at 83 years old with a girlfriend who is granddaughter-age. Hollywood's top actor is currently the most isolated due to the controversy surrounding his DNA test and his profound beliefs about mortality. New York City's East Harlem was the site of his birth on April 25, 1940. He was born to Rosa Girardi and Salvatore Pacino, who emigrated from Sicily to the United States. Their marriage was brief. When Pacino was just 2 years old, his father uprooted the family and went to California to find work selling insurance. As a result, Pacino was brought up in the South Bronx by his mother with the support of his grandparents, Kate and James Girardi. Their hometown of Corleone, Sicily, rose to fame thanks to the film The Godfather. Being a Bronx resident in the 40s and 50s was no picnic. Money was tight for his family, and he never fully recovered from the loss of his father. However, his mother did bestow upon him a gift that would forever alter his trajectory. She did a lot of theater outings with him because she loved movies. The narratives playing on the screen absorbed him. He had an interest in acting long before he could define it. A love that would endure a lifetime was planted when I went to the movies as a little kid. Friends began to call Paulino Sonny as he got older. Because of his untamed side, he was always disobeying authority. He started smoking and drinking before he was 9 years old. He experimented with marijuana when he was 13 years old. He had no interest in learning and was perpetually in trouble. Disobedience, fighting, and skipping class came to be expected. He was expelled from multiple schools before he was admitted to the High School of Performing Arts. It appeared to be the perfect spot for him, but he didn't linger for long. At the age of 17, he dropped out of school without having earned a diploma or secured work. He did this following an argument with his mom regarding his future plans. He was always on the go when he was a teenager. He was accompanied by a group of friends who were equally unprepared. Some began abusing drugs, while others got into trouble. 3 of his closest friends, Cliffy, Bruce, and Pi, would all succumb to drug overdoses in the years that followed. Even though he could have ended up in the same place, something propelled Pacino to keep going. He found solace in acting, which allowed him to channel his anxious energy into a greater purpose. In retrospect, he realized that playing a musical instrument was his sole survival mechanism. He then lost touch with things that had a lasting impact on him. In 1962, he was barely 22 years old when his mother passed away. She was in her 43rd year. Her death was the most devastating thing that happened to him because she had suffered from depression for a long time. His grandpa James passed away a year subsequent to that. His role had been similar to that of a father. In the span of a year, he lost 2 of his closest friends and family members. "That was the worst time of my life," he remarked afterwards. His world had crumbled around him, and he felt utterly helpless. His mother gave him the name Sonny Boy, and he used it in his autobiography to describe the anguish he felt after a long period had passed. After the deaths of his mother and grandfather, Al Pacino decided to pursue acting as a career. "If I'm lucky, I might see my mother there. All I want is the chance to walk up to her and say, 'Hey Ma, look what happened to me.'" It was complicated. He did odd jobs like cleaning, bartending, and messenger to put money toward acting classes. One of his most influential teachers was Charlie Elton, an acting instructor he met at Greenwich Village's HB studio. But money was never easy to come by. On certain evenings he was homeless. Because he had nowhere else to stay, he slept on the couches of friends and even in movie theaters. Because of his extreme poverty in the early 1960s, he slept on the streets and performed in whatever bit parts he could find in underground theater productions. In 1968, Al Pacino appeared in the off-Broadway production of The Indian Wants the Bronx, a play written by Israel Horovitz. His career took a significant turn with this, running for a total of 177 performances, the first of which took place on January 17 at New York City's Astor Place Theater. He brought a frightening and strangely human roughness to the role of Murph. He revealed the inner turmoil that lay beneath his outward outbursts of anger. Attention was given by both the business world and critics. He was named Best Actor at the Obie Awards. Best Supporting Actor went to John Cazale, who played his co-star, and Best New Play went to Horovitz. Something even more significant occurred in the background. The Sugar Plum, another play by Horovitz, was staged alongside The Indian Wants the Bronx. The leads in both plays were Jill Clayburgh and Al Pacino, who were dating at the time. It was on this show that Pacino met the man who would have a profound impact on his life, Martin Bregman. He was recruited as a boss by Bregman because of his admirable qualities. Finally, he was instrumental in Pacino landing roles in critically acclaimed films such as The Godfather, Serpico, and Dog Day Alley. Pacino later claimed that his career trajectory would have been different if not for Bregman. Does a Tiger Wear a Necktie was Pacino's Broadway debut after just 1 year. The play had its 1969 debut at the Belasco Theater. Don Peterson penned it. Going to a rehab center can help young people who are addicted to drugs get better. As the story progressed, Pacino played the role of Bickham, an emotionally wounded young man with a tough exterior. He was a troubled user. The show only ran for 39 performances after 9 previews, but it left an impression that will endure. According to Newsweek's Jack Kroll, he was described as a hood with a poetic soul. Variety proclaimed him to be Broadway's top rising star. This 29-year-old actor won the Tony for Best Featured Actor in a Play. That was the turning point. Pacino honed his acting chops for years so he could bring nuance to his roles. His acting coach was Lee Strasberg, and he attended New York City's prestigious Actors Studio. Strasberg established the School of Method Acting, which instructs performers to bring their characters to life via the expression of their emotions. Pacino credited his time spent exercising with Strasberg with inspiring him to pursue acting professionally. The road that Al Pacino traveled to portray Michael Corleone in The Godfather was not only difficult, but it was a battle. The show nearly bombed in 1972 due to the idea of employing him, despite his now famous performance. Famous actors like Ryan O'Neal, Jack Nicholson, Warren Beatty, and Robert Redford were sought after by Paramount Pictures because of their high earning potential. Few were familiar with Pacino's name at that period. His strong theatrical background and one film role were reasons the company passed on hiring him. They didn't see him as the protagonist. They wanted someone more substantial, like a Hollywood star. The late Francis Ford Coppola strongly disagreed. He saw Pacino perform on Broadway and thought he would be perfect for the role of Michael Corleone. He saw in Pacino what no one else had, the capacity to depict Michael's transformation from a decent war hero into a vicious mafia boss. Coppola got into numerous conflicts with the company because she refused to give in. Paramount offered Pacino the chance to stay if James Caan played Sonny Corleone, and the studio even tried Caan out for the role of Michael. Despite filming having begun, the corporation remained uncertain. They decided they didn't want Pacino anymore after seeing early footage of his performance. He was under pressure to prove his mettle to Pacino as soon as possible. He decided to shoot the murder scene at the restaurant before it was supposed to. Michael made a significant leap into the criminal underworld at that. When the higher-ups at Paramount saw it, everything shifted. Coppola had been right the entire time, now they understood. Pacino was fantastic. He left an impression on audiences. After that, his role in the film was practically gone. He was forever altered by that passage. Some felt he deserved a Best Actor nomination, but he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor instead. He felt excluded from the event due to his political beliefs, and therefore chose not to attend. Even before he won, though, his career was on the rise. Although it only cost $6 million to produce, it grossed over $250 million at the box office. It catapulted Pacino to stardom and won Best Picture at the Oscars. His intense gaze and the amount of meaning conveyed by a single look made him. The dinner scene, with that terrifying expression, is now one of the most iconic moments in cinematic history. The journey there was far from effortless, though. It was later revealed that Pacino was terrified while filming. The amount of pressure was excessive. He had trouble focusing because the threat of termination was always looming over him. In fact, he severely injured his ankle while filming the scene in which he flees. The agony was so excruciating that he needed injections to keep moving. His initial reaction to seemed peculiar. It hurt like hell, but he refused to let his pain stop him. An enormous amount of effort went into making The Godfather, which went on to become a legendary film. His portrayal of Michael Corleone, a man torn between the demands of a violent and dangerous world, and his love for his family, was superb. His career would be defined by that role, which would make him famous as one of the top actors in Hollywood. Personal life was still tough for Pacino despite his success. A lot of pressure mounted on him as his fame grew, and he frequently felt isolated from his peers in the industry. In interviews he discussed openly the challenges of fame, the emotional toll it took, and the constant scrutiny he endured. While Pacino continued to produce memorable films throughout his career, he became more selective about the roles he accepted, seeking out opportunities to grow both personally and professionally. Pacino was widely regarded as a top actor in his era, from the 1980s to the 1990s. He was forever cemented in Hollywood history when he won the Academy Award for Best Actor in 1992 for his role as Servant of a Woman. In spite of everyone's admiration, he remained aimless in his own life. Even when he was at home with his loved ones, he struggled to find fulfillment in life beyond his career. Even though Pacino's personal life became increasingly challenging as the years passed, his work remained strong. Never married and plagued by an unstable love life, Pacino had a string of famous flings, including one with Diane Keaton, who co-starred with him in The Godfather. He welcomed his first child with his significantly younger lover on April 19, 2019. His age was 79. His already intriguing life story was taken to new heights by this surprising turn of events. Despite all that he has been through, both professionally and personally, his status as one of the greatest artists of all time will endure. But his current situation exemplifies how fame can drive people to withdraw from society. Reflecting on his life, Pacino continues to grapple with his beliefs regarding mortality and the purpose of existence. Even though his work brings him solace, the personal toll of his success continues to trouble him. There is sorrow and pursuit of purpose in Al Pacino's narrative. Behind the scenes he has struggled with personal issues, loss, and an eternal quest for happiness. But his career is filled with memorable roles that have transformed American cinema. However, he is still widely considered to be among the finest actors to ever work in Hollywood, and his legacy will endure. Acting classes were a stepping stone for some of history's most accomplished creators. Lee Strasberg and Charlie Elton were among the greats Pacino learned from there. He had previously stated that the studio had a profound impact on his life. He now assists in making a difference in the lives of others. At the Actors Studio, Pacino feels comfortable enough to try new things, rather than worrying about success or financial gain. Focus on taking calculated risks and learning from them. James Dean, Marilyn Monroe, Paul Newman, and Jack Nicholson are just a few of the famed Hollywood actors and actresses who attended the school. Pacino continues to mentor upcoming artists through his lectures and workshops. He encourages his students to do more than simply follow instructions. He also makes them read widely, reflect critically, and investigate theoretical frameworks. For him, performing is about more than just making a fool of yourself. It's about understanding the world around you. Al Pacino has never tied the knot. Despite spending his entire life in the spotlight, he never tied the knot, despite having affairs with actors Diane Keaton, Beverly D'Angelo, and Kathleen Quinlan. In his book Sonny Boy, published in 2024, he discussed his skepticism about the benefits of marriage. He went so far as to call it an entrance to the pain train. His anxieties colored his perspective on engagement, and he was unmoved by any woman or man. The romance he had with Diane Keaton is among the most famous in Hollywood. They first crossed paths in 1972 while filming The Godfather. She found him endearing and peculiar at the same time. After an on and off relationship that lasted years, Keaton finally had enough by 19. While filming Part 3 of The Godfather, she told Pacino he had to commit or the relationship would end. Pacino declined, and she walked out. To begin with, there was Kathleen Quinlan, who was in a committed relationship. They first crossed paths at an event hosted by acting coach Lee Strasberg in 1979. For a long time, they were inseparable. They crossed Europe as a pair. Pacino later reflected on his relationship with Quinlan and said that he had never been this close to tying the knot before. After making that decision, he felt sorrow for a long time. Becoming a father was an important part of his life, even though he never got married. Roman, his fourth child, was born in June 2023 to him and Noah Alala, who was 29 years old at the time. He had lived to be 83 years of age. In particular, the revelation that Pacino had requested a DNA test sent shockwaves through the public. For some reason, he had lost faith in his ability to procreate. The results of the test confirmed that Roman was his child, and he regained paternity. It wasn't until April 2022 that Pacino and Alala's relationship became public knowledge, despite the fact that it began in 2020, during the pandemic. Since Alala typically dated older men, people were curious about them, despite the 54-year age gap. She has a history of ties to Clint Eastwood and Mick Jagger. With his first wife, Beverly D'Angelo, Pacino welcomed twins Anton James and Olivia Rose in 2001. His eldest daughter Julie Marie was born in 1980, named to Pacino and acting coach Jan Turan. Pacino also had a son named Roman. At the age of 83, he became a father again, and that changed his life. He vowed to himself that nothing like his father's abandonment when he was a kid would ever happen to him. He continued to be active following his breakup with Alala. During their video chats, he and Roman play harp duets. Pacino continues to work even though he is 84 years old. He shows no signs of slowing down in his upcoming projects. He was a part of House of Gucci in 2021. Among the most anticipated films is Modi, which follows the life of Italian artist Amedeo Modigliani and features Johnny Depp. The film chronicles 3 tumultuous days in Modigliani's life when he struggles with both his profession and his personal demons. Based on the true story of exorcist Emma Schmidt, Pacino also appears in the terrifying film The Ritual. 2 priests, each with their own set of issues, perform risky exorcism in this upcoming April 18, 2025 film. Aside from that, he's still incredibly enthusiastic about storytelling, as evidenced by his work on Billy Knight and Killing Castro. For Pacino, acting is more than a profession, it is the very thing that sustained him through the tough times. According to him, it was a lifesaver multiple times. His life has been filled with challenges. In 2020, he experienced a life-altering near-death incident. Rescuers had to rouse him from his slumber because he had stopped feeling well. He informed everyone about it after that because he was certain there was no future. Pacino is still very much involved in his family life, has not yet retired, and is reflecting on his life's experiences. He lived a full life despite not doing what most people do. In and out of the film industry, he remains one of Hollywood's most fascinating figures.